Did you know that there are over 100,000 personal development and self-help book titles on the market right now? And that the self-help and personal development industry has more than tripled over just the past 10 years alone. As a matter of fact, Forbes magazine recently published an article stating that the personal development and self-help industry is on track for becoming a $1 billion a day industry, $1 billion a day. Which means there's so many people that are out there looking to improve themselves that the market is almost flooded. There are so many life coaches and mentors and mastermind groups and people that are knowledge-based business and all these things, purveyors of these technologies and of these strategies. And most everybody out there, self-included, we do this because we got our start there, because something like that helped us do that. So I thought to myself, well, with everything that's out there, so many things, it boggles the mind. Where would you start? And what are some of the best things and best places to go to decide which things are best for you in terms of growing yourself and helping yourself? And so, having been a student of, as well as a product of personal development, and now a teacher of personal development for so many years, I thought I'd offer kind of my insight on some of those things that help you guide your way through some of the waters so that you can go further, faster, and do that. And I'm going to say this, and I hope this doesn't sound arrogant. I have a unique perspective on this, having operated in the upper 3 to 5% in this industry for over 3 decades now. And I say that not to brag or to boast, but I say that because I don't teach theory. And what I mean by that is I don't teach something that I haven't and don't currently do for myself, meaning I've done it and I get the results myself. So I'm living proof, if you will, but also that I've taught other people to do it. Hundreds and hundreds and thousands and actually even millions of people now to do that. And again, I'm not saying that to brag or to boast. I just want you to know kind of what qualifies me to be telling you what I'm telling you. And as I said, many of us that are in this industry right now, we do it because somebody helped us along the way. And in my case, that was what it was. When I was at the worst time of my life, I was homeless and I didn't have anything. Somebody gave me my very first personal development book, and it was called Think and Grow Rich. And I still, to this day, recommend it to anybody, whether you're just getting started or you've been doing this for a while, because that book was the foundation for so many people. My dear friend Tony Robbins and Les Brown, and the list goes on and on. So many people point back to that book as being their first introduction to personal development. But let's talk about what it is, what self-help is, what personal development is, and then let's talk about where and what to look for so that you can best be served by what is offered out there. Now, let me pre-frame this by saying, it is not my intention to throw anybody under the bus. It is not my intention to really suggest any particular person or any particular book over any other than Think and Grow Rich, and maybe some of my books, if you will. However, my outcome is really just to give you some clarity on what's out there, and you judge what's best for you. And so, let's talk about what the terms personal development and self-help are, because being clear on that will give you some insight as to what you're looking for and what you want to change for yourself. Let's look at the term self-help. It implies that you're going to do this for yourself. It implies that this is something, instead of going and getting a formal education somewhere, instead of going and getting therapy somewhere, instead of going and getting advice somewhere, you're going to do it on your own. You're going to read a book, and from that book, you'll do it on your own. And that's really great. But the truth of the matter is, there's so many book titles out there, and so many people fall short. Matter of fact, I heard a term, a friend of mine called it shelf help. Meaning most people get these books, and they'll maybe read a couple, maybe 1 or 2 chapters, and they'll put it on the shelf. And then they'll go get another one. They'll get another one. They'll get another one. And the fact of the matter is, if you don't have within yourself that ability to do what that book says, then it's just going to be information. An example I like to use, I use myself. And again, I use myself as an example of what is possible, not an example, some shining example of the way that things should be. When I first got my first book, I read the book and I was desperate, to be honest with you. I was at the bottom of my life and didn't know what to do, and I was desperate. And I always tell people I got the book, because when I ask people, maybe you have, you read the book. I ask people, did you read the book Think and Grow Rich, or really any book? And they go, yeah, I read the book. It's a great book. And then I always have this follow-up question. Did you do what the book said? And I watch them go, well, the answer is no for most people. They didn't go through chapter by chapter or line by line or anything. If you know anything about me, that is my thing, if you will. And that is that I always say that the spoils in life, whatever that is, that wealthiness, that healthy, happy, and financially abundant that I talk about, the spoils in life don't go to those who just desire and want. Don't go to those who just educate themselves. The spoils in life always go to those that do. Do. It is the doing. See, it's not willpower, it's do power. Everybody has willpower when you're reading the book and you say, I will do this. Tomorrow I will start my diet. Tomorrow I will go to the gym. Tomorrow I will make that phone call. This year I will. And we have willpower in the moment. But willpower wears off. I'm not going to go into why it does just because of time here. But the truth of the matter is our system, our nervous system, is designed to get away from pain, the pain of uncomfortableness of doing something. So that's why we procrastinate. And so when I ask people, did you do the exercises? Most people say no. Well, the difference is I did the exercise. And to be honest with you, part of the reason I did it was because I was desperate. But I did the exercises and I did them. And as I did the exercise and I did the things in the book, I started to get some results. And as I started to get some results, I started to go, okay, well, this is great. And it compelled me to do more of it as well. And so when you look at self-help, I always describe it like this, or I look at it as being self-help is you getting yourself to help yourself do more, do something different. Yourself getting yourself to do it. And what does that mean? You've heard me say this a bunch of times. Procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, self-loathing, imposter syndrome, all of those things are the thieves of our dream. But only one person is in control of those emotions and those behaviors, and that is you. And so getting yourself to rid yourself of those tendencies of procrastination. Rid yourself of those tendencies of hesitation, those tendencies of self-beating and all of those things. That is, to me, the most genuine part and explanation that I can say for self-help. Because most people go out and they go, well, you know what, I'm dissatisfied with my life right now. Well, what are you dissatisfied about? Most people are not clear about that. I'm going to tell you what you're dissatisfied with if you're looking at it. Maybe you're listening to me right now. And it doesn't matter whether you are on the upper end of getting what you want or you're just getting started. Your dissatisfaction comes from you not being wealthy enough or more wealthy than you already are. And remember, wealthy means healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And I know most people will agree with me. Yeah, that's what we're after. But I kind of whittled it down to that's it. Everything else falls underneath that. If you're unhappy, if you don't know what you want, that's unhappy. If you don't have enough money, that's unhappy. If your health is terrible, that's unhappy. But if your health is terrible, then guess what? You're not going to have the type of health that you need to go out there and start a business or do something different. If you're unhappy, you're not going to have the impetus to get up and do something different and make money. It's a cybernetic loop that goes over and over again. So where do we start? What do we do? And so if you get yourself, and that's what I want to point you towards first, is getting yourself in that state, getting yourself, working on yourself so that you automatically default to that state that causes you to feel good, so that you do good, so that you have good. See, because it's always think, feel, how you feel. Procrastination means that you're feeling some sort of pain, you're feeling some sort of uncomfortable, you don't want to do something, it doesn't feel good. Well, if you could change that, then you would change what you do. So set that aside for a second, that self-help does not mean that you're just going to do it on your own and you're going to read a book and just, go out there and conquer the world. What it means is that you get yourself to work on yourself so that you can change those things, those emotions, those things inside of you. Personal development. You know, I had the opportunity, one of my mentors, as a matter of fact, it was probably maybe the third or fourth book that I ever read, was one of my mentors, the late, great Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was, along with Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, was one of the pioneers of personal development, if you will. And I actually knew Jim personally. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to speak at his memorial. He passed away a few years ago. And I asked Jim once, I said, Jim, now remember, Jim is they called him the silver fox, the millionaire maker, and all those things. And I asked Jim, I said, Jim, what is personal development? And I watched Jim Rohn go like this. Well, Joseph, personal development is working on oneself. And he made something up. How do I know that? I watched his eyes. Now, if you know me, I'm a psychologist and eye patterns move anything. But whenever I go like this, what does that look like? It looks like I'm searching. And it is. It's called transderivational search. And I watched the great Jim Rohn make it up. And I thought to myself, well, if Jim Rohn doesn't have a pat explanation for it, if Jim Rohn doesn't, then I wonder how many other people don't. And again, this is not to throw Jim under the bus because he's magnificent and he changed so many things. So, and you might want to write this down. You know, what I said about self-help, that's my opinion. And let me give you what my opinion of personal development is. Personal development is rehearsing whom you wish to become. Rehearsing, practicing the person that you want to become in the future. What does that mean? That means 5 years from now, when you're wealthier, you're healthy, you're healthier than you already are, you're happier, and you have financial abundance, you're going to do things differently. You're going to think differently. You're going to talk differently. You're going to even walk differently. You're going to wear different clothes. You're going to do things differently than you do right now. And so if you, and this is part of what I teach, if you will, and this is what I'm going to tell you to look for in whomever you're going to get your personal development from, and your information from, is to look for something that'll help you define who you want to become. Define who you want to become. And I'm going to give you an example of that here in a second. But because most people don't do that. They go, I want to make more money, or, I want to have a better relationship. But listen, the person that shows up 5 years from now is different than you are right now. So if you describe who that person is and you find examples of who that person is right now, then you start to rehearse it now, doing the things that he or she does, believing the things that he or she believes, reading the books that he or she reads, and all of those things. You do those things now, and you are then, because from repetition, you are now developing into the person you want to be. That's why we call it personal development. You're developing into that person through practice, through rehearsal. I know that sounds oversimplified, but the truth of the matter is, it's the simple things that make the biggest difference. You see, in whenever I coach anything, and anybody, and I should say this, I've had the privilege of, like I said, operating in the upper 3 to 5% of everybody in this industry for the past 3 decades now. I've had the privilege of working with, and still do, some Academy Award-winning movie stars and Grammy winners and major sports figures and politicians and millionaires and billionaires and everything in between. And I will tell you, that is one of the first things I do, is I say, what do you want? And they will tell me, well, I want to make more money, or I want to win a Grammy, I want to win an Oscar, I want to do this. And then I will say, how do you want to feel? And they'll go, wait a minute, how do I want to feel? Because that's the answer. How do they want to feel? Because I can help them feel. And then I'll also ask, well, give me an example of what that looks like and what that sounds like and all those things. And I'll get them to really recognize that what makes them go after they want is they have the feeling that they can get it. And that's everything. I'm telling you, is when you feel certain and that feeling stays with you and there's processes to do that thing, that's what makes you get up early and stay up late and do the extra stuff to make things happen. Across the board, for myself, for everybody, and anybody else as well. And so part of what I'm going to encourage you to do, or at least these things. First off, do not just rely on motivation. Motivation is great. It helps you in the moment. It makes you feel great, but it wears off because we're motivated when we have willpower, don't we? We're motivated when we can't fit in our jeans anymore, our pants, and we don't look right. We're motivated when we don't have enough money to, to take that special person on that date that you want, or buy the thing that you want, and, and live the lifestyle that we want. We're motivated when we're unhappy to do things. But motivation wears off. It's like a warm bath. You can sit in that bath. It's going to feel great for a while, but pretty soon it's going to cool off. And what happens to people is they get motivated, they get excited. I see it all the time, in seminars and motivational speakers and things like that. They're great and everything, but if there's no methodology attached to how to get and sustain that feeling outside of there, then it's really just a good time for that moment. That's why quotes, and by the way, I wrote a quote book. But what I always but one of the things I always ensure to is to make sure that whatever that quote says, here's how to get it. In other words, if somebody has a quote that says, you've got to have courage, and you step up, you have courage, you'll do this. Well, great. What if you don't have courage? How do you get it? So my first thing that I would encourage you to do is to, yes, allow yourself to be motivated, but move towards any type of let's just say, information that has strategy with it to attain whatever it's telling you to do. If they're telling you got to have courage, then tell me how to do that. Find something that within it, there are exercises, there are processes and things that you can do. And this is the same for a coach, a mentor, a teacher, not somebody that's just going to set you goals and hold you accountable to these things. Have them give you something that you can do so you can help yourself get over those fears, phobias, emotional challenges, and things like that slow you down. Number 2, find somebody that has BTDT. Been there, done that. Somebody that is not teaching theory. You see, can you learn from somebody that has not done what they're teaching you to do? The answer is yes. But who do you think is going to be best, your best mentor, your best teacher? Somebody that's already done it and lives it, or somebody that's teaching theory? Obviously, somebody that's doing it. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't learn from somebody. I always say the difference between a coach and a mentor is a coach is somebody who can inspire you, who can motivate you, that can see things that maybe you can't see, and to get you going and to really educate you. And that's very, very valuable. And a coach is not necessarily better at or having achieved a level of success than the person that they're teaching. In other words, think about this. Major sports figures, I work with them all the time. You think about a LeBron James or a Michael Jordan or any sports figure you can think of. They all have coaches, yeah? But their coaches are not all the time better at basketball, if it's basketball, than a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James. A mentor on it. But they have some valuable information. Obviously, they have to have coaches, get out there, do it. You do it. Here's what you did wrong. Here's what you did right. Things like that. Those are great. But a mentor, on the other hand, is somebody who's already done it and has achieved a level of success beyond the person that they're teaching. You see, I always tell people, listen, I've worked with Olympic track stars and things like that. I tell you, listen, I couldn't run around the block, so I don't know how to do that. But where my level of, let's just say, expertise comes in is human beings. My level of expertise comes in that I have been there, I've done that. I've been at the worst parts and got myself to do something so that I could get over it. And so my expertise and my level of, let's just say, of success in that area is generally far beyond the people that I'm coaching and that I'm working with, that I'm mentoring. So find a mentor versus a coach. Find somebody that's been there, done that. Secondly, or thirdly, so that's number 1, is don't just go for motivation. Find something that has some strategy and some process with it. Number 2, find somebody that's been there, done that. And then number 3, whether it's a book, whether it's a person or something, somebody that is going to hold you accountable and register your change. And here's what that means is I see this over and over again, even with people in themselves, is they will make some sort of change. They will make some sort of progress. And in that moment, they just keep going, okay, well, what's next? What's next? What's next? And unless you go, well, wait a minute, here's where I am, because success is built on success. If you go, here's how far I've made it, this far. Here's my goal out here, but here's how far I've gone. And by the way, when I talk about strategy, that strategy must be a way to help you do what I said in personal development. Find out exactly what it is that you want in that health, wealth, happiness, and financial abundance as well. And get some targets on and get specific about all those things. But when you're going through it, you've got to be able to go, here's how far I've come. And here's how far I've come, and here's, I'm closer to this or I'm not, so that you can get some sort of encouragement and some sort of, let's just say, I always call it praise, if you will, to go, well, I've done this and I can do more. So that it's going to get you to do the thing that I told you about, which is rehearse more. That's the thing that makes you get up early, stay up late, and do the extra stuff. These things, these simple things, as you're going out there looking, whether it is, that you want to, you want to make more money, or you want to have a better body, or all the things that I talk about, whatever it is, look for those specific things. And then when you look for them, find them, and then I save the last for the best for last, and that is to always praise yourself for having done it. Why? You've heard me say this before. It makes your brain release dopamine. Your brain goes, that feels good. Let me do it again. Use these things as you go out there in this world of personal development, in this world of self-help. Use these strategies that I just talked about. They're golden. And I'm going to tell you, if I'd have known this, that to look for it the way that I did right now, obviously I'm super successful in the things that I'm doing right now, but my road would have been a lot easier. And I've been able to help other people's road be a lot easier and smoother on that as well. So take this, use it. Remember, life is exactly what you dare to make it. And fortune favors the bold, baby. Boldly step up and dare to make your life magnificent. I love you, and I'll see you at the top.